Good morning, everybody, first of all. Hope you guys are all well. Um, yeah, obviously, we know about the COVID-19 thing that was taking place, and I'm a musician, and I was doing a gig. And while I was on the gig, I actually felt a little bit fluish. And you sort of think, okay, what is this? Is this the flu, or is this what they're talking about? And on the way home, I decided just to get some medication as well as coming from Caribbean background, do some old school tactics. You know that one, garlic, ginger, honey, white rum, and I thought, whatever it's going to be, I'm knocking it in the park within 2, 3 days. So I came home and I took the medication and, went to bed and stuff and woke up in the morning and still felt a bit rough. And this carried on for quite a couple of a number amount of days. As a result of that, I just kept ODing on the actual medication, thinking that as I took more medication, this will suppress the feeling of what I was going through. I was getting headaches, fever, and the aches and pain was just really, 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 really bad. It felt like I'd been to the gym and I trained really, really hard. I woke up the next morning, like your body isn't aching from the night before. It felt like that, which as a result of that, you're not getting much sleep, but at the same time, in the daytime, you're still so really tired and you're lethargic and it's really, really hard. So this went on for 7 days. And on the seventh day, I had a friend call me and he could hear that my breathing was really, really bad. And he was saying, listen, you need to call, 111. And as a man, you sort of go, oh, nah, I'm all right. It's just a little something. And eventually he sort of convinced me. He says, it might be nothing, but, call up. I thought, okay, fair enough. I'll do that. So I called 111 and it took you through a process where you ended up at a point where it says, please stay on the line. Your call is important to me. So I had it on speakerphone and just sort of lay down just because I was in a lot of pain. I actually fell asleep. And when I woke up about 2 hours later, I was still on hold on 111. And I thought, this is a bit mad. So I waited about another 30 minutes. So that was about 2.5 hours. And I decided, let me hang up. And I thought, I'll be all right. And I think I lied down for another half an hour and I thought, nah, let's call. So this time I called 999. And it went through to they ask you, obviously, what service do you require? And you say ambulance service. And it goes on to the waiting of that again. And I waited 15 minutes. And then I hung the phone up. I waited 10 minutes and I rang again. And then after 15 minutes, I hung up again. And I was a little bit disillusioned, like, what's the point? I might as well just stay here and just chill and fight it out. And then someone said to me, now ring one more time. So I rang the third time. And when I rang, I got through to somebody and they asked me, my symptoms. And when I explained, they said to me, okay, we're going to send an ambulance for you, but we don't know how long it's going to take because they're very stretched that night, which understandably I got. However, I went to sleep. 2 hours later, there was still no ambulance. So I made a call back to them and they got through. They said to me, we're definitely coming. It's just that, as you know, they don't have enough people on staff to make things happen. Probably about 45 minutes later, the ambulance arrived at my house. And they did a few series of tests on me, checking blood pressure, checking your temperature and so forth. And based upon the stats that they picked out, they said, we're gonna have to take you in, grab a few things and let's go. As I stepped out of my door, it's like oxygen levels just changed it's very difficult to explain. I mean, I don't have asthma. I don't suffer some of those sort of things. So, but I can only appreciate and emphasize on it's something like when you're gasping for air. So from my door, walk into the actual ambulance door, and especially because I had a mask on as well. So it's like I couldn't breathe. And when I got in and I was panicking, they put me on one of those oxygen things that you put on your nose. And I was lying down and doing tests and stuff. Then my breathing increasingly got worse. So as a result of that, they took that off and they put a mask on my face and gave me Lewisham Hospital. You know, they brought me to a COVID A&E ward. They had something set up specifically where they did tests, X-rays, COVID swabs, and so forth. And after about 4 hours, I was directed to a isolation COVID ward, which I spent 8 days in. 6 of those days, I was actually on the oxygen machine because I couldn't breathe on my own. So just to give you an example, in the hospital, they have like a dial of how much oxygen they can give you. And the maximum that they give you is 15 liters of oxygen. I was receiving 10 liters of oxygen. So it's quite a lot of oxygen. So much so that if I wanted to go to the bathroom, they had to give me a portable tank to connect to. I couldn't, because breathing on my own was still very, very, very intense, as it were. So I was going through this and thinking, what is happening? Because I'm not a sick person. I do work out 3 to 4 times a week. I eat fairly healthy and look after myself. So for me, this is very foreign to now feel like I'm panting. I can't breathe properly. One of the days I was looking out the window and someone said to me, I recognize this room. And I couldn't put my finger on why I recognize the room. Just so happened 4 years ago, I lost my sister-in-law. And this is what the room that she was in. So it brought like a heavier reality to me of how serious and where I was, especially because she died of pneumonia at 31 years old. So what began to happen was that my confidence level began to sink. But you know, if you can appreciate, you're in a ward and you can have no visitors, or you're seeing these hospital staff all day. I mean, thank God we got video phones, but I couldn't do much talking, so I was mainly doing texting rather than talking. And basically, what happened was I was struggling. You know, I mean, I actually got to a point where I thought, I'm not going to make it out of the hospital. This is it. I'm going to die in here. And I was at a point where you start to reflect on your life, reflect on what you've done, good and bad. And I was a little bit disappointed in the sense of one of the things that I've always wanted to do is leave a legacy, a musical legacy. But before I got that in 2007. But there's a scripture in the Bible for those that go to church that talk about honor thy mother and thy father. And my gift of music is actually 6 generations deep. So my mum is actually a singer and a writer. So all of my life, I've actually witnessed my mum getting songs in dreams. And as a teenager or as a kid, she'd sing it on a dictaphone. Even to this day, my mum sleeps with a dictaphone at the side of her bed, and she writes gospel songs, and they sing them at their national churches. So what I did, I I wanted to, what's the word, explain to the world that my gift is bigger than me. So what I want, my mum always wanted to make a record, an album, and I have my own studios, which is where I'm at the moment. I produce records for different people. So I decided in 2007 to start working on my mum's records. As a result, we've done 2 records so far. So for me, it was very, very important to sustain her legacy before I could do my legacy. I was working on the album for quite a while, but trying to do it on your own finances, as well as trying to live and pay bills and work, is very, very difficult. So I might do a little bit of work and it might sit on my hard drive for 6 months or so forth. So I was at a place where most of it's done, but the logistics of getting the music out, I was finding a lot of hurdles around that situation. A lot of them were financials, difference of opinions on how to market your product. People trying to say, it's not relevant now, there's no point, no one buys music no more, and different conflicting things, which sometimes can make you a bit jittery about making a decision. But at this point, when I was lying in the bed, it made me go, I can't believe I'm gonna die and I've got a hard drive full of music that the world's never gonna hear. So there, I think your screen mic is yeah, you're back. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it was one of those things whereby I just thought I couldn't believe that I'm gonna die and I'm not gonna leave a legacy. Because sometimes in life, you know, a book, a word, a piece of music. The thing about a lot of classical composers, they've been dead 100 years, you know, plus. But we still listen. We still know about Beethoven. We still know about that. And you know, in a world where the world is all over the place, leaving something positive, I think is very important. So I was really, really upset about that. Now, a friend of mine sent me a affirmation video that you know, she just sent it to me randomly, and I'd listened to some of this before, but at this point it was very important. And basically, the affirmation video is like a sound therapy music in the background, with somebody saying positive words like, "You are strong, you are beautiful, you're gonna make it." Yeah. And I was at such a low place that what I did, first of all, I couldn't call my mum because I was scared that she would pick up on my fears. And as a result, it'll put her into a whole different scenario. I couldn't tell anybody about I'm in the same room as my sister-in-law because I knew that everybody was already worried. So I sort of internalized that. And what I did was, with this affirmation thing, I put my ears on, the earphones, and as I went to sleep, I would listen to it on repeat, but turn it down so that it wasn't too loud that I can't sleep, but it was speaking to my subconscious. Yeah. So it was changing my whole thought process and my way of thinking, because, you know, sometimes the way you think is how you act. So I did this, and over a period of 2 days, my confidence began to rise, and my thinking and my way of seeing things was different. It's like seeing a glass, is it half empty or half full? My thinking began, you know, I still understood that I was sick, but I understood that I can do something about this. And the first thing I did was I called the radio plugger, yeah, and I just felt I had to do it. And I called him and I explained to him what I wanted to do, and blase, blase, blase. And I said, and when he gave me his fee, I says, I want to be straight with you. I don't have that money. I cannot pay. This is what I can pay you. And he bought into my story, and he says to me, normally I don't do charity, but I just he obviously he knew that I was in hospital, and he said that I just hear your story and I want to help, so I'm gonna commit to that. I had a few problems with food there because there's a lot of things that people are not telling people in hospital, which is a lot of the regular nurses are not actually working. A lot of them are furloughing and at home. So in my ward, all the nurses were they were agency workers on zero contracts. So that might mean they might do 5 days at Lewisham, 2 days at Guy's, 6 days at George Street Hospital, whatever. So the level of care, what I received, was very poor. Yeah. Some nurses were amazing and knew, and you could feel this is what they're born to do, but some just oblivious to certain things, like, I don't know, filling up a jug of water, looking over, everyone's got masks on, and obviously when you've got oxygen on, your mouth gets dry very quickly. So just come around every so often, fill the jug of water, so people got water to, that would be empty, and you have to press the button to get someone to do it. But if you press that button, you better know that it's going to take them 45 minutes to come to your aid. So even though it's an emergency button, it's not really emergency. Make sure that whatever you're doing, you do it before you get yourself in that place. So we had problems because, as well, there's different levels of protection, PPE, depending on who you are within the national health system. So if you're the consultant or the doctor, you have a big mask on your face, as well as a visor. Yeah. If you're the nurse, you don't have the visor. If you're a catering, a cleaner, you have a small little flimsy little thing. But because my ward was an isolation COVID ward, a lot of the catering staff didn't want to go into the room because they didn't feel that they were properly equipped. So we used to hear a lot of shouting outside and stuff. As a result of that, we had an issue whereby they refused to come in, and we didn't get our breakfast in the morning. And then we had a problem whereby because they brought the protocol and we didn't fill out the forms, for lunch they served the salad, and then for dinner they served the salad. And at that point, I was getting stronger. So what I did was I contacted my sister, who arranged for my cousin that lived around the corner to bring food, even though they couldn't come into the hospital. I gave them all the details, and they brought food right up to the door, where they gave to the nurse and explained to the nurse what bed I was in. And then from there onwards, I received home food cooking every day. I also had a friend of mine, or my partner, should I say, music business partner. When we started doing this, realized he could get stuff to me. He got some health stuff to me, because at this point now, the hospital is only giving you antibiotics and paracetamol, which is, and they're switching the antibiotics every day so that your bodies don't get used to the antibodies. So provided you don't have any issues with different antibiotics, obviously it starts to work. But what happened was, a friend of mine says, no, you need some, proper treatment. And he sent me some colloidal silver, eucalyptus oil, oil of oregano, manuka honey, and I had some immunity capsules which had rose hip, olive leaf, turmeric, echinacea, and eaudigraphis in it. They were proper health things. So I was doing this 3 times a day, putting the oil of oregano in 3 drops in a glass of water, drinking that, The only thing I wasn't doing was I wasn't steaming the eucalyptus because I didn't have a steamer in hospital. But I believe that these things help to build my immune system, because what the doctors are telling you is to wash your hands and to put a mask on your face, but no one's talking about we're always going to have viruses, you know what I mean? But viruses take host of people that immune systems are run down. You know, when your body's run down, you can't fight those things. So surely, by building your immune system, you're in a better position for that not to jump on you. Does that make sense? So that's what I did. And I'm grateful that, by my mindset changing and me being consistent on doing the medication, it helped, because I know people that had exactly what I had that didn't make it. But I believe those things, as well as, family and friends praying and all that stuff, I believe, it helped me. Now I decided that, when I get out, I have to get a song out, definitely. When I came out, there's a house shop in Catford called Joy's Sanctuary, for those in South London. You can Google her, or she's on Instagram. And she just does natural products. So I normally go in there, and I sort of went in there and says, Joy, because what the doctor said was, you don't have COVID-19, but you have COVID-19 symptoms. So I asked the question, well, what does that mean? And he just repeated that. And it was like, I had it early. So I think at the time when I had it, they were trying to keep the numbers down because we had a lot less numbers than Spain and Italy. So as a result of that, they were trying to say it's not that bad in England. Whereas later on, they want to frighten you to say, everyone's got it, so that we adhere to what their demands, if that makes any sense. But I believe that by saying you've got the symptoms, when that goes on my records, the GP is going to know, yeah, he had it. Do you know what I mean? So when I came out and they diagnosed me with pneumonia. So when I came out, I went to Joy and I says, they've diagnosed with pneumonia. And she says, what you need straight away, you need Irish moss. You need to take that every morning because it's got 15 out of the 18 essential vitamins. And it also has, it's good for the respiratory system, good for your lungs, yeah? And then she said, you want some black seed oil. And then, so I bought those two, and I bought a Constitution bitters. So all the stuff that our parents used to give us that we used to hate, I found myself. So all that I've said, from the Colonic Silver to the Constitution bitters, every morning to this day, before I have anything to eat, I have all of that stuff. And to build my immune system and get me stronger. And the last that was 3 weeks ago. Today's a very important day because I've released my first track today.
Luke, I must jump in here because
Sure.
I think everyone wants to give you a little hand clap just to say we appreciate your journey and you taking that time to tell us that story. And Luke, I've sat in the studio with you and listened to you create music, and it is phenomenal. And I'm just wondering if there is a way you could play some of your track for us this morning, and so we can just hear what's happened in your mind after COVID, part of leaving that legacy. Will you be able to play some of it for us, please, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll play a little bit of the actual song that's released today.
Wow, Luke. You know, the challenging thing is that we can't really hear it with all its dynamics because Zoom compresses a lot of the
Okay.
audio quality, but we do get the gist. And more importantly, this is a product of you leaving your legacy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel, look, let me give everyone a bit more of a background on Luke. 25 years ago, he was playing for Shaka Khan. Am I right, Luke?
Yeah.
You know, he's decked for Billy Preston. Could you give us a bit of your repertoire, please? Not that it's important. It's just that your mind saying you didn't leave a legacy, and yet others would have thought you've done everything. So I just want to dig in there.
I think for me, it's a thing of I facilitated a lot of people, and there's two sorts of musicians. There is an assister. I mean, there's someone that can assist and someone that can create. I'm fortunate, I'm blessed that I can do both. So when I say I've left my legacy, because I know that I can create and I create, yeah. When I create with other people, I create within the confines of their space. So people don't get all of what's going on in my head. It's open for debate. I might do something and they might say, oh, no, I don't like that. Okay, I tried something. You know what I mean? Whereas what I'm doing at the moment is exactly how I'm feeling. Music, for me, music can be done two ways. Music can be made via numbers or via emotion. So I like to grab it via emotion and reach people on that wavelength. So for me, the legacy of actually leaving that, I hadn't done it. You know what I mean? You know, I've played on big records, I've produced big records, and I've toured around the world with great musicians and great artists, but nobody knows what's going on in my head. And I felt that what I have to offer is vital in this season. Do you know what I mean? The thing about music's the biggest communicator out there, because it's the only thing that you can do. You know, I toured as far as Japan, but I don't speak Japanese. I lived in France, but my French was pretty small. Do you know what I mean? But anytime you make music, you connect with people and people connect with you. Do you know what I mean? So I realized the power of music and what that can actually do. You know what I mean?
So in essence, it was music that really rewired your brain when you were, quote unquote, on your deathbed. It was listening to those positive affirmations that really, really, really helped you shift your perspective.
Yeah. It gave me a focus, and it gave me a belief system and optimism, because if you're in an environment whereby all you can see is negativity, it's very difficult to go beyond that. That's why it's very important that the company that you keep is very important. Because if you're saying, when I started visualizing this record, I've got people on this record. I've said I want to get Uncle Roy. Royez. I call him Uncle Royez because I told him, and he's a mentor of mine. I want to get some of these big hitters that I've worked with, but I've got no money. How am I going to do this? See what I'm saying? But it started with an idea. Now, if people around me are going, you can't do that, man. It's impossible. Sometimes you can close down somebody's idea and not giving it room to grow, because sometimes it's, you birth a vision, and then you put content to the vision and administration to the vision. And maybe administration and content's is not your field. Do you know what I mean? You're a visionary, so I might say, yeah, I want to build a spaceship to go to the moon, yeah? But I know nothing about aviation, but then Mike comes in, you come in, Mike, and you're saying, all right, we need to get some investments, yeah? And I know somebody that works in aviation, and and then that person goes, yeah, well, what you're going to need, you're going to need this, you're going to need that. and all of a sudden it starts to escalate. But it started with me saying, I want to build a ship to go to the moon. So I don't have to necessarily know everything. I just need to dream. But if you're in an environment where when you dream, somebody says, you can't do that, man. How are you going to do that? Then they can close that dream down and that dream never comes to life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we've been communicating in this Wellbeing Cafe, that thoughts become things.
That's right.
You know, and the energy that's attached to thoughts for them to manifest needs to be protected. It needs to be ring fenced. And you need to be able to sow those sorts of seeds in your own garden first and believe the possibility of what you're hoping for. Yeah, we got, someone just said, be careful of the dream killers.
Yeah.
Be careful of them. So Luke, what, with regards to your personal well-being, I see you're on a new sort of diet and you're taking in the supplements and the vitamins that, in your words, our parents used to give us, the stuff we hated taking in the 6 weeks holiday. And bitters and things like that.
Wash out.
Yeah, wash out. But it's proven to be good for you, and it's kind of like kind of replenishing your body. So what else are you doing for your own mental well-being right now?
Okay, well, up until COVID came, I was at the gym. I'd be up by 6:37, regardless of what time I went to bed the night before. So you can imagine sometimes, you've been on my gigs, we're leaving at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? But I had a trainer, and what I realized was that me actually doing the work. I do quite a bit of coaching or teaching at music colleges, and one of the phrases that I coined, and I push home to people is, if you don't pay in the pre, you pay in the post. Yeah, if you don't pay in the pre, you pay in the post. So I have to live, and what that means to me is, if you shortchange it at the front end, on the back end, it's gonna come on top. Yeah. Now, it got to a point where I wanted to get in the gym and get fit again, but life and things get in the way, and it's always going to be, but I got to do this, I got to do this. And it got to a point where I thought, if you don't pay in the pre, this is PRE, you pay in the post, POST, for the dudes taking notes there. And what I realized is that it's got to cost you something. There's got to be value to it. So what I went and did, I went and got a personal trainer. And the thing is about it, I couldn't afford a personal trainer. But I knew that this is the only way it's going to happen. And what I mean by that is, that's right. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to pay somebody money to train you, and he's saying, if you don't give me 24 hours notice on cancellation, you still got to pay me. If I get in at 4 in the morning, I'm not going to sleep and pay you money because I want to have another couple hours sleep. No, I'm going to get up out of my bed. I'm going to train. And in my mind, I'm saying, after I train, I go back to bed. But what you don't realize is once you've trained, you're energized and you're on one and you're excited. So now you get on with your day. So we train, my gym was in Greenwich and I live in Catford. So I'd be out the door between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock start, finish at 9, and then my day starts. That's what I was doing 3 times a week. You know what I mean? Since COVID now, it changed. For the first 2-3 weeks, I was just lying in bed watching Netflix. I couldn't move. I walked as far as to the top of my road, and I'd sit on the wall. I was panting like I was an old man. But since then, I started by walking 1.5 miles a day. I'm up to 4 miles a day now. And now I've added weights to that now. So I borrowed some weights from a friend, and outside my door on my drive, you see me doing the thing. You know what I mean? People walking past going, "You all right, mate?" You know what I mean? But I've got to keep this thing moving, because especially now, because we're spending more time at home, I found myself eating more. I'm bored. So I just go in the kitchen and eat some food. You know what I mean? Whereas normally I've been working so hard, my problem used to be I forget to eat. You know what I mean? So that's what I do now.
So Luke, is it all about balance? Because look, if you're just gymming, just active and not getting enough sleep, or you're eating too much or eating too little, is there sort of like that balance that's required? They say you should have approximately 7 to 8 hours sleep every day. That's 1/3 of your life. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
everything's about balance. Everything's
right.
about balance now. And I think that don't go mad, you know, I want to be in the gym every day, or I'm going to fast, or I'm going to just, you know what I mean? You know, eat what you're eating, but be sensible with it. So too much of one thing is not good for you. I mean, there are apps out there. There's one I've got called MyFitnessPal. And with this app, what you can do, you put your weight in and you figure out how much weight you want to lose.
Sorry,
Yeah?
Luke, was that MyFitnessPal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And basically what happens is that you put down what you want to lose and what your weight is at the moment, and it calculates how much calories a day you should be eating. Yeah. That's the first thing. That's the one, yeah, MyFitnessPal. And then basically what happens is any food that you eat, you put in there, and it tells you how much calories it is. Also, it's got a barcode read on it. So every food's got a barcode read on it, from bread to whatever. If you go to McDonald's, you type in McDonald's, Burger King, hamburger, and it'll come up. They've got a really big database. Jerk chicken, jollof rice. It's all on there. You know what I mean? There's no excuse. So when you get to and even from a perspective of, you can now start seeing what food. Sometimes people don't eat a lot. They're eating the wrong foods, and because they're eating the wrong foods, there's a lot of sugar content or salt content in the food. For example, people might go, "Yeah, I'm gonna juice," yeah, and wonder why they're still putting on weight. They don't realize it's all the sugar. It's all the sugar content. You know what I mean? And what you should do when you're juicing is have 70% vegetables and 30% fruit. So fruit is only there just to make sure it don't taste nasty. Do you know what I mean? But really, it's about the vegetables. You know what I mean? Because if you're just eating fruit, apples, bananas, all those things, even though it's good sugars, you know, someone said rum cake. You know what I mean? It turns to fat if you're not active. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I do. And then they have another app called Map My Walk. Yeah, which when you use that, that's how I know how much miles I've walked, because I put
Say
it
that
on.
again. Map My Walk.
Map My Walk. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank
And
you.
basically with that one, yeah, you can when you get to the end, you know, it will tell you where you've walked and it'll show you the map of it. But the good thing about that, when it shows you, say like you burnt 500 calories, it adds, yeah, that's right, it adds that 500 calories back onto your MyFitnessPal.
Oh.
So, you know what I mean? So if you say like if you ate your 2,000 calories, go and walk in it, and go and earn some calories. Go and earn some calories back. So it teaches you, you know, little, you know, things like that.
Little
So even for
discipline.
that alone.
So Luke, I want to shift the conversation slightly and go back to my point that you've played for some of the most incredible musicians that have graced this planet, from Eric Clapton to the repertoire is phenomenal. Now, like I said, some of us go out and we can go into a public auditorium and we can speak, and some of us have spoken in large spaces. And this is that thing which I'm trying to find out from you, especially as we are reinventing ourselves and we're trying to describe and define new normals. How does it feel to walk on stage to some of your musical icons and being a human? I know your background, been to your mum's house, know everything. And I'm just wondering, how do you create that sense of authenticity, knowing that you're, as the young people say, gassed, but yet you've got a gift? And how do you wrestle some of those nuanced perspectives and thoughts that are running through your mind as you go to perform at the highest level? Because I reckon there's some others in this room who admire you, and it would be nice if you could give us some ideas on how we manage our gift and present ourselves well, but not be stage frightened, not be in awe so much of the artist or the performance, but yet become authentic and strong.
Well, my thing is that I came from I'm from the old school, yeah? So first of all, when we were doing music, the dynamics changed in the sense of, for example, when you work with a pop star, I'm an employee of that pop star, yeah? And they don't want you to feel gassed around them. You're doing a job. You know what I mean? It's like the builder coming to the house and going, oh my God. Oh, they're like, just build, innit? You know what I mean? So the mindset was very much similar. And also coming from church, we used to have a group as kids growing up. We had a group called Anova. And what it was is, when I was younger, there was a few guys that had a bit of a chip on their shoulder, you know, and would play, and they could play really well, but wouldn't show anything. And my thing was, I used to sit there and think, I don't see the problem. I don't know what the problem is. If I could play, I would show people what it is. And our mindset changed. And the group was called Anova, and it was I can't remember if it was a Greek or Hebrew word, but then the meaning of it was, before honor comes humility. So that always resonated on what I did. So it's only recently that I recognize who I am in terms of, you know, and I know the defining moment when it happened as well. I was in New York playing at Madison Square Gardens with George Michael, and I just got on the stage, and when we got on the stage, the crowd started, you know, screaming. 20,000 people, because we did like an American tour of all the basketball arenas in America. I spent 3 months in America. And at that point, I thought, wow, I must be good. Because look, I'm at Madison Square Gardens, and I think that was the first time that I actually owned it, if that makes any sense. You know, back in those days, we couldn't say, oh, George, can we take a picture? Because it'd be like, what? Is he going to say it to the sun or something? That was actually a sackable offence. You know what I mean? That was actually a sackable offence. Whereas now, the artist is saying, come, let's do a selfie. Does that make sense? So the dynamic of music has changed. And I just don't take myself too seriously. I just think, I now know my self-worth. And so now, as I'm older and the experience I've got, I know that it's about, as we talk about, me and you talk about age and boy, we're getting older and this, my time is the most important thing. So now I have to be, strategic with my time. So someone can't just get my time like before. I've got to understand, well, how's this going to benefit me? You know what I mean? And I don't mean benefit me financially. Even if that is me giving them something and they're going to take on board that, you know what I mean? I've got to make sure now, because time's going all the time and I can't get it back. So the decisions that I make and have to be calculated in order for me to get things done.
Well, Luke, I know you've done your 10,000 hours. You've probably done 100,000 hours at the highest level. What can you give us as some sort of support? I like what you said about humility comes before honor. And I wish more musicians and pop stars and celebrities had that mantra or mindset. I think we would be better as people. But what do you say to the person who, whatever their field of expertise is or potential expertise, how do we grow? How do we become expert? How do we, beyond food, drink, and so on, beyond the health side, which we've already discussed, how do we embrace our future and take on that role that has been designed for us or destined for us? And yet, like you said, it took you years to figure it out. You was in medicine and then you realized that eureka moment happened. What can we do to accelerate that thing?
first thing you must do, find a mentor. You know what I mean? Because you can't, you're trying to go somewhere where you've never been. You know what I mean? And some people figure it out. But generally, you can, by shadowing somebody and learning from somebody, first of all, that in itself will keep you humble and keep you level-headed. Do you know what I mean? I've always had mentors in my life, always. Sometimes they're musical mentors, sometimes they're not. You're one of my mentors. You know what I mean? You know, I seek advice for you on certain things. We talk business, you know what I mean? Because you got to look at people's examples and go, well, how can I? And you got to remember as well the dynamics of me as a musician. When I started being a musician, yeah, there was no black musician. There was no one that came from church and did music. It was like even that explained to my parents that I want to do music, and even though they're gifted, it was like, boy, but how are you going to pay your bills? Go learn a trade. You know, join YTS or do something, you know what I mean? So it was hard for me, and I made mistakes along the way in terms of not understanding business, saying the wrong thing. You know, sometimes you were late to sessions or late to things, you know what I mean? You didn't understand how important, because we think that because we're gifted, it's going to work. One person says, your gift will bring you before a great man, but it won't keep you there. You know what I mean? And I had to learn from different people what the etiquette is, what to do. So even like now, me getting up in the morning and doing and going to the gym early morning, I know that that's a millionaire's mindset. But again, Mike, we've spoken, me, you, and Kira, about Earl Nightingale. You know, an amazing philosopher. You know, and that was one of the things as well that made me go, I need to change my behavior. And when you start changing your behavior, people start seeing the seriousness of what you're doing, and they start taking you seriously. You know what I mean? So that can be in look, in how you dress, to speech, to precision of your timing, to your productivity, to your attitude. You know, all of it is all relevant. And if one of those things are unaligned, it won't work.
You're right. So find a mentor, and remember this: your mentor can be your tormentor. They're going to push you.
Yeah.
Your mentor can be your tormentor. I don't think a month goes by without either Luke calling me or with me calling him, just to check in. Sometimes nothing to say, but just being that brother's keeper. And I think it's really important. One thing, you know, Luke's going to give you a shout out, and he's going to check on you. And to that said, Luke, we respect you, we value you, we're going to celebrate you as one of our own. And I personally think we ain't seen nothing yet, because now that you've tasted life, you're not resisting life, you've tasted life, even though we're X amount years old. You've tasted life during this COVID season, and it's sweet. So you're pushing in a new, you've changed gears, you've shifted gears, and I'm expecting more from you, more abundance, more blessings, and so on. So thank you. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we've never gone this late, but I'm still getting loads of messages saying it's been a great session and wonderful. So Luke, I do want to salute you. Is there a last word you want to share with us in a sentence or so, Luke?
I just want to say thank you very, very much for listening to me. You know, I'm honored and humbled that you listened to me. Please feel free to listen to, stream, or even download the song. Also, actually, while we're here, if you can subscribe to my website, which is lukesmithmusic.net, lukesmithmusic.net, www or https, whatever that hyphen, whatever they do now, I don't remember how it goes. Yeah, and subscribe, because there's going to be a few things where I'm going to do like exclusive things, like early release. Thank you very much, Cliff. Early releases, or you can hear the song before the song comes out. That's only going to be for those that are subscribing to me and things like that. So there'll be benefits from that. But thank you very, very, very much. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, reach out. If you like the song, tag, you know, and tag people in and try and spread the word. That'd be great. I mean, we're in a weird situation because we're no longer working. But you know, it's going to change, and we just want to make sure that when it changes, we can embrace the new normal.